Let us begin our Gita study with a prayer from the Bhagavata Mahapurana. This is on page 104 of the book Universal Prayers. Top of page 104, the first one. Om Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramurtastunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedaisanga Padakramopanishadair Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Navidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Salutations to that effulgent being whom Brahma and other gods praise with divine hymns, whom the singers of the Sama glorify by the Vedas and their auxiliaries, repeating the words in a particular order along with the Upanishads, whom the yogins realize through deep meditation with their minds wholly absorbed in him, and whose extent neither the gods nor demons know. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, peace. May there be peace in our hearts, Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all the beings, Adi Bhautika Shanti, and may there be peace everywhere in nature, Adi Daivika Shanti. I begin the class today with some sadness. The last 2.5 weeks, 3 Swamis to whom I was very close have passed away. First one, Swami Harshanandaji Maharaj, whom most of you don't know because he never came to this country. He was in Bangalore as the head Swami. He was a great scholar and he has written innumerable books, and his magnum opus is a concise encyclopedia of Hinduism in 3 volumes. He worked on that encyclopedia for about 34 years. During that time I met him several times. Every time I saw him, he would show me how much had been done. And he wrote the whole thing in his own handwriting. He didn't even use typewriter. He was a great scholar. He knew Hindustani classical music, Carnatic classical music. He was a great speaker. His speeches were so perfect that they could simply be printed as articles. You prepare everything so meticulously. No extra one word, no stories, no jokes, no wasting time. To the point, precise. So he passed away. He was about 90 years old. Then about 5 days ago, Swami Yogeshananda, an American Swami, he passed away in Trabuco. He was in Chicago and Ganges. I was staying with him for some years in both places in the 80s. He was 98 years old and was suffering for some time. He passed away. And day before yesterday, Swami Chidanandaji Maharaj, former head of the Chicago Center, he passed away. I stayed with him for some years in Chicago when I was in Chicago, and so it was very sad. He was a great Vedic scholar. He was expert in chanting the Vedas perfectly. He was teaching Vedic chanting. And he has also published a book, Mantra Pushpam, in Kannada. All the Vedic mantras are there. His identical twin brother was also a Swami in Bangalore. He also passed away some years ago. So this is the law of nature. Everything that has a beginning will have an end. Adyantavantaha. So this physical body is given to us for a specific purpose by God, namely to use it to realize God, to know our true nature. And once that purpose is fulfilled, then it has no more use and it can be cast aside like a worn out garment. That we know. But still, when somebody passes away, somebody whom you know very well for a long time, that sadness is there. So let us continue our study of the 7th chapter. Last time we were doing sloka number 19. There, Bhagavan Sri Krishna was saying that it takes a long time, maybe several lifetimes, for a seeker to come to the firm conviction that God is the only ultimate reality and only goal worthwhile achieving, striving for. Other things are ephemeral, temporary, not worthwhile pursuing. To come to this conclusion, it takes a long time. So that is verse number 19. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many lifetimes, many cycles of birth and death, Bahunam janmanam ante. A seeker of knowledge gains knowledge, self-knowledge, and comes to the firm conclusion, conviction, Vasudeva Sarvam, God alone is the supreme and only worthwhile goal to be achieved. Nothing else is worthwhile striving for, waste of time. Samahatma Sudurlabha, such Mahatmas are great, are rare, not many. Most people are looking for worldly objectives, worldly pleasures, happiness, freedom from suffering, etc. As we saw in verse number 16 and 17, there are 4 kinds of people. They all pray to God with different motivations. Most people pray to God for something that they want, that they don't have, hoping that will bring happiness, or they are called artharthis. Lot of people pray for relief from suffering. They have some problem and they go to God to seeking relief. They are called arthas. Artha, artharthi. And then, pardon me, jignasu, those people who seek knowledge of God. 3 categories of people. The 4th one is a jnani who does not seek anything, still prays to God. Even if there is a need, he will not ask God for that. Even if there is suffering, he will not God to remove the suffering. Out of sheer love, pure love, the jnani prays to God. So majority people are seeking something or seeking relief from suffering. But to come to the conclusion that these are not worthwhile things to seek from God, we are going to the highest authority. Why seek these small things? Seek self-knowledge, seek pure devotion. That takes time. So that was verse number 19. Now we go to verse number 20. In the next 2 or 3 slokas, verses, Bhagavan Sri Krishna describes the people who seek ordinary things from various deities, which only give a temporary satisfaction, if at all. So let us see verse number 20. Kamaistaistairhritagnyana prapadyante devata tam niyamamasthaya prakritya niyata svaya. The translation, deprived of knowledge by a variety of cravings, people resort to other deities. They adopt other disciplines, being constrained by their own inborn nature. That means, propelled by their desires, kamaihi, taihi, different kinds of desires, anya devataha prapadyante. Why do they worship other deities and not the Supreme Lord who can give liberation, Jivan Mukti? Why they worship other deities? Because apahrita jnanaha, hrita jnanaha. Hrita jnana means a person whose knowledge has been taken away, who does not have knowledge. Knowledge here means knowledge that God is Purushottama, the Supreme Lord, Paramatman is the only and highest thing, and you have to seek Him only. You should not seek small things from God. That kind of understanding they don't have. Hrita jnanaha. Why they don't have that kind of knowledge? Because they are propelled by their desires, kamai, different kinds of desires. Anya devataha prapadyante. They worship other deities. Tam niyamamasthaya, following the different procedures for worshipping different deities. Prakritya niyatasvaya, propelled by their own prakriti. Prakriti here means the samskaras that each person has accumulated by previous thoughts, actions, desires, etc. Propelled by that. Not independent thinking, guided by earlier samskaras. We should try to think independently, not be merely guided by previous samskaras. Then we'll be going in the same direction. So you have to question ourselves, every action, every thought. That many people cannot do. So here, what is meant is, propelled by desires, kamaihi, taihi, different kinds of desires. They worship other deities, anya devataha prapadyante. So here, for example, following different ways of worship. For example, those who worship Shiva is Abhisheka Priya. It does not require any ornaments or decoration. If you just do Abhisheka, chanting Rudram, Vedic mantra Rudram and Chamakam, if you pour water or milk, that is enough. Only Abhisheka Priya Shiva. But if you worship Vishnu, he is Alankara Priya. If you go to Vishnu temples, very elaborate ornamentation and decoration is done. Very expensive jewelry. For Shiva, no such thing, no jewelry at all for Shiva. Only water or milk pouring, that is all. So like that one. When they worship Balakrishna and Krishna Janmashtami, baby Gopala, baby Krishna, he is fond of snacks. It is said that 64 different kinds of snacks are prepared to offer to baby Gopala. And other people do repetition of mantra, Kamya mantra, these are for 48 days or 24 days for a specific objective. Somebody is sick, somebody gives them a mantra just to become free from their sickness. They chant it for a certain number of days. They don't do it out of pure devotion, seeking devotion or knowledge just to get into the problem. Limited objective. You are going to the highest authority, God. Why not seek the highest gift from Him? Namely self-knowledge, Atmajnana or pure devotion or liberation. Why seek small thing? Going to a king and asking for 1 rupee. That is not good. Certain people do japa and some people do certain types of homa, chanting mantras. All these are kamya karmas. Rituals that are done to seeking specific objectives. So they worship different deities. Sometimes they worship Goddess Saraswati if they are appearing for an exam, bar exam or some other CPA exam or board exam they want to pass, so they worship Saraswati. Limited objective, I want to pass the exam. Simple thing they are asking from God. People who want health, they worship Surya. Each of these deities nothing other than Brahman himself appearing in these forms. But they are not seeking liberation or self-knowledge, they are seeking something small. That is the problem. Like that one. They worship Lakshmi if they want some money. Like that one. Those are all limited objectives. When we worship God, we will not seek the highest thing that we can get. Namely, earliest goal of life, liberation, self-knowledge, pure devotion, that we should seek from God. Because of ignorance, propelled by desires, they worship other deities, seeking small things, limited things. But it's a very important point. Even if they seek small things from God, they are not to be condemned. There is no condemnation of anybody. Even if you worship God asking for a very small thing, you are still worshipping God. That in itself is a great thing. That Sri Krishna said in the verse 16, 17, Udara sarve evaite. All these people worship God with various motivations, seeking limited objects. Still they are noble people. Udara are noble people. They are worshipping God. For whatever reason you worship God, you are worshipping God. That in itself is a great thing. It's a good beginning. They start by worshipping God, seeking some small thing, and gradually their understanding becomes deeper and devotion becomes deeper, and they begin to question themselves, why should I ask this thing? God knows what I need. He will provide what I need. Yogakshevam mohamyaham, in the 9th chapter it will come. God has made a promise that if you remain devoted to me, I shall provide whatever you need, I shall protect whatever you have. Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. 9th chapter 22 verse. Famous verse. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna has said, those who steadfastly worship me, think of me, remember me, I shall provide what they need. Yoga means providing something that a person needs, something that is needed but is not there. Shema means protecting what one has. I shall do that. Just promised it. So we don't have to remain God. He knows what we need before we know. He will provide it. But you have to worship Him, be devoted to Him. To come to that understanding, it takes a long time. Bahunam janmanam ante. It takes a long time for a devotee to come to the understanding that this is not worthwhile seeking limited things from God, let me seek the highest thing from God. Still they are worshipping God. Udara sarva evaite. So, for whatever reason, for a limited reason also, if you worship God, you are doing the right thing. So, Sri Krishna does not put them down. He says they are good. That is verse number 20. Then we go to verse number 21. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna assures that in whatever form they worship me, I shall strengthen their faith in that form. He does not say, don't worship that form, worship me, Vasudeva. He doesn't say that one. In whatever form a person worships God, Bhagavan strengthens their faith in that form. Because every form is God's form. Whichever form of God one worships, they are worshipping God. Same one divinity present in numerous, infinite number of forms. So they are still worshipping, they are not knowing that worshipping the Supreme Being, they are worshipping one aspect of God, seeking something very specific. That ignorance will go away in course of time, but it will take time. So let us do verse number 21. Yo yo yam yam tanam bhaktah shraddhayarchitamicchati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham. The translation is, I give unswerving faith to each devotee who seeks to worship with faith whatever divine form of his choice. See, people worship different deities with faith, shraddhaya, seeking something limited. What kind of limited things people seek when they worship God, when they do kamya karma? In the commentary, Shankara says, putra pashu swargadi vishayaihi hirtajnanaha. Putra means son or progeny. Child, children, grandchildren, they want. They believe that children, grandchildren will bring happiness. And they become so much attached to the grandchildren that sooner or later they will grow up and go to school or college, then they will feel the separation. Too much attachment. Pashu means cattle. Those days, cattle was the indicator of wealth. As dollar is the indicator of wealth these days, those days, a person's wealth was measured by the number of cattle he possessed. So they were seeking cattle. More number of cattle you have, richer you are. That was the system those days. Putra pashu swarga adi vishayahi. They want to go to heaven. Even heavenly enjoyment is temporary. Enjoyment here in this world is temporary. One day life will end and they want to go to heaven. Heavenly enjoyment also very temporary. Heaven is a temporary place of enjoyment. You will stay there as long as the stock of punya you have earned is there. Once the stock of punya is exhausted, we have to come back to human world. This is explained in in chapter number 9. 9th chapter, Sri Krishna says, Kshine punye martyalokam mishanti. When the punya that we do, meritorious deeds, puja, japa, homa, etc., which earns a place for heaven in us, Kshine punya, when that punya is exhausted, martyalokam mishanti, they have to come back to human life again, start from square one. So that is also temporary. That is why Vairagya is defined as Iha Mutra Phalabhoga Viraga Abhishankara and Viveka Chudamani. Vairagya means no desire for heaven also. Because heaven is a temporary place of enjoyment. You can stay only there as long as your punya is there. Once it is exhausted, you have to come back, start all over again. So that is not worthwhile seeking. Heaven, going to heaven is like going on a cruise. If you buy a cruise, go for a 3-day weekend cruise, you will spend about $1,000. 3 days you will be on the ship. During the 3 days you will enjoy. No work. Parties and all kinds of food, 24 hours food court is open, all kinds of food is available. All kinds of ethnic food is available round the clock. Entertainment, movies, magic show, circus, swimming pool, table tennis, all those things are the entertainment. 3 days. At the end of 3rd day, you have to come back and disembark and go back to work next day. Heaven is like that. If you spend more money, you can go for a week-long cruise to European ports. At every port, they will stop and you can do shopping and sightseeing. All kinds of food is available. Entertainment is available. As much as you want, you can enjoy, party, everything. Then after 1 week, you have to go back and disembark and get out the ship and go back to work. That is not good. Heaven is like that. If you do some punya, then you will be sent to heaven. As long as the punya is there, you stay in heaven. When the punya is exhausted, come back to earth. So, Vairagya means no desire for heaven also. Iha amutra, in afterlife in heaven. Phalabhoga viragaha, serious renunciation of the desire for enjoyment here and in the next world, Swarga also. So people seek Swarga, children, cattle, or dollars these days, money, wealth, property, fame, promotion to a bigger position, power, all these things people seek. None of this is worthwhile. We will see this one in, we already seen this one in chapter 5 verse 22. Why we should not seek these things was explained in the 5th chapter, sloka 22. You have to go back and review earlier slokas. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna had already said, 5:22, ye hi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Very nice verse. Samsparshaja bhoga means all sensory pleasures. Sparsha means contact. Sensory pleasures that come by the contact of one or more sense organs with one or more sense objects. All pleasures are of that kind. Children, grandchildren, money, power, properties, all sensory pleasures only. To the senses we enjoy them. Relationships, everything. Samsparshaja bhogaha adyantavantaha. They have a beginning and an end. You have to work hard and come at some time, they stay for some time, they go away. Antam. Dukkha yone evate. When they leave, it leaves you very unhappy. When enjoyment ends, either because of old age or inability to enjoy, or the object goes away, we lose the things, one way or other separation will come. Then we are left with only disillusionment, unhappiness and misery. Dukkha yonu evate. Yoni means source or cause of dukkha. Nateshu ramate buddha. A wise person, Buddha means a wise person who can think deeply, buddhiman. Such a person, teshu bhogeshu naramate. In such kind of sensory pleasures, he takes no delight. They are very temporary. They come with lot of effort, they give happiness for some time, and they go away and leave us unhappy. That's not worthwhile. Waste of time and energy. Instead, we should seek the highest source of joy. Where is that one? Atman inside. That's why when Arjuna asked Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the 2nd chapter, verse 54, what are the signs of Sthita Prajna? This is the first thing that Sri Krishna says. Second thing, he says, Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. A Sthita Prajna does not seek happiness in the world outside, in a sensory objects, sense objects. He seeks happiness where it can be found unfailingly. Infinite, eternal, endless, no time limit. Happiness can be found only in the self. That is Satchidananda, source of all happiness. Even the happiness that comes from sensory pleasures is a dim reflection of that joy of the self. So a wise person, Buddha, dispenses with the dim reflecting surfaces, which can only provide a very poor reflection of the true joy, and goes straight to the source of all happiness. That is Atman, Satchidananda. That is a sign of wisdom. So, Sthita Prajna Atmani eva Atmana Tushtaha. He finds happiness in the Atman. Does not care for worldly pleasures. There he knows their limitations. So, here an ordinary person seeks limited happiness by worshipping various deities. He is worshipping God through the deities, but he does not know it. Worshipping a certain aspect, because that aspect he thinks will give you certain benefit. Limited. That is not good. Yet, Bhagavan encourages that worship and strengthens their faith. So, coming back to verse 21, yo yo yamyam tanum. Tanum means form of God, Devatatanam. Some people worship Ganesha, some people worship Saraswati, some people worship Lakshmi, some people worship Rama. They are all different aspects of God. They are all aspects of divine Brahman only. But they choose one aspect, limited. That is the, in them, which they worship with faith. So here Bhagavan says, I shall strengthen their faith in that form. If you are a Rama worshipper, God will give you more faith in Rama. Like that one. Then Shraddhaya Architamicchati, worships with faith, any form, Tanum, any form of God. Tasya achalam shraddham vidadhamyaham. I shall strengthen them, give them strong, I shall strengthen their faith in that form in which they choose to worship me. So that is verse number 21. Now we go to number 22. Sataya shraddhaya yuktaha tasya radhanamihate labate satatah kaman mayaiva vihitan hitan. Possessed of faith, shraddhaya yuktaha, he desires the worship of that form. Certain form he chooses with a certain objective and worship that form. From that divinity he secures the objects of his desire. Worshipping God with a specific objective and obtaining that objective. Limited. For I myself have ordained them. Though it seems to come, benefit seems to come from a certain specific form of God, all comes to the divine, one divinity only. So people worship Ganesha before they start something, because Ganesha is known as Vigna Nivaraka, Vignesha. So whatever boon they get from Ganesha comes from the divine Lord himself, because he is also Brahman, aspect of Brahman. He himself, he says, Mayeva vihitan hitan. Mayeva, by me alone, these have been ordained. Though it seems to come from a certain specific object of, specific aspect of divinity, it comes from the Supreme Lord himself. Because these are all aspects of the same one Supreme Lord, Vasudeva. But a person of wisdom, he worships the Supreme Reality. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabhaha. A rare person has the firm conviction that the Supreme Lord Vasudeva alone is the Supreme Reality and worships Vasudeva alone, seeking only real liberation of pure devotion, self-knowledge, not seeking limited objectives. That is sign of wisdom. Here in the commentary, Shankara says, as the fruits of karma have been ordained by me, Ishvara is karma phaladata. He ordains the fruits of karma that we do. The devotee will assuredly gain them. Whatever they seek, that they will get. What you seek, you will get. But they are seeking limited things, and they give temporary happiness and they go away left with unhappiness. 522. Samsparshada bhoga dukkhayo naya evate. When they leave, any pleasure or whatever object a person seeks and gets, it ends at some point, then the person again goes back to the original state from which he started, emptiness. That is not the right thing to do. We should worship the Supreme Lord. You can worship him in any form, but we should seek the highest thing. Highest goal of human life is liberation, Jivan Mukti, self-knowledge, Atma Jnana, or pure devotion. Pure devotion is the highest thing. Sri Ramakrishna always prayed only for pure devotion. He did not seek worldly happiness. That famous prayer in the Gospel, in the English Gospel, it's on page 731. In Bengali, it says, Ma ami tamar sharanagata sharanagato. O Divine Mother, I have taken refuge at your lotus feet. Deho sukha chainama, I don't want bodily comforts. Lokamonna chaina, I don't want worldly fame. Animadi Ashtasiddhi chaina, I don't want the 8 occult powers, siddhis. But I want only pure devotion. Tamay padapadde amay shuddha bhakti dao. I may not be deluded by your world bewitching maya. Tamar maya shanksare kakunu kamene kamtene par bhalabasha na hoy. I should not be deluded by the offerings, pleasures of this world, conjured by the inscrutable Maya. I don't have knowledge, and bhajanhin, jnanahin, I'm bhaktihin. I don't have devotion, I don't have knowledge, I don't have any understanding. I want only pure devotion to your lotus feet. That is the only thing we should seek from God. Seeking limited things is not good, not a sign of wisdom. Only temporary benefit will come, and that will end, and then we'll go back to the same original point, starting point of emptiness from where we started. So here, Bhagavan says, possessed of faith, verse 22, he desires the worship of that form, worship a certain specific form of God. Ihate means performs worship, cheshtate. Now we go to verse number 23. Continuation, same. These are limited things. 23. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedhasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedhasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Whatever we seek, that we get. That's the gist of verse number 23. The translation is, so the fruit of karmas that accrues to those small-minded men must come to an end. The worshippers of God proceed to the gods, my devotees come to me. Whatever we seek, that we get. An ordinary devotee seeks limited things. Antavat tesham phalam. Antavat means something that ends, something that is not long lasting. Something lasts for some time and then it stops giving pleasure. Tesham phalam antavat. The fruits of worship that they get is limited in time, in magnitude also. Tadbhavati alpamedhasam. This kind of limited benefit will come to those who are of limited intellect. Alpamedhasam means of people who have limited understanding. If they think deeply, they will realize the limitation of what they are seeking. But that is not possible for them. They only look for immediate benefit, small benefit. Immediately what is needed, that's all they are seeking. Long-term thinking, all the pleasures and everything, they are temporary. They will end one day. The body itself will go one day. Before that, I must realize my divine nature. I should know God. I should get Jivan Mukti, liberation. That thinking is not there for a majority of people. Only a small number of people have that long-term understanding, deep understanding of the real goal of human life. That came in the early part of this chapter 7, verse number 3. In the third verse of this chapter, Sri Krishna describes those few people who have this real understanding of what's the true goal, purpose of life, human life. He says, verse number 3, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatade siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschid mam veti tattvataha. Manushyanam sahasreshu, of thousands of people, not 1,000, sahasreshu, many thousands of people, kaschid, one rare person, siddhaya yatati, tries for perfection. Siddhi here means liberation, knowledge of God, God realization. Yatatamaphi siddhanam, of those few who even try, kaschid mam tattvataha veti, only one rare person really understands me, knows me, realizes his oneness with me. Very rare. Other majority people, they seek small things. As he said here, Pashuputra Swargadi, limited objectives they seek. But their benefit is Antavat. Coming back to verse 23, Antavat phalam tesham. Phalam means the fruit that they get, the benefit that they get by doing this kind of worship, kamya karma, that is very limited in time and magnitude also. How much happiness will it give? For some time you will feel good, then it goes away. Alpamedasam, these people who seek limited things from God, they are alpamedasa, means a person of limited intellectual ability. They cannot think deeply about the higher, lofty goal of life. Small, immediate objective only, they are satisfied with that one. Devan deva yajo yanti. Those people who worship various deities, they go to them. That means they get what they seek. Mad bhakta yanti mamapi. My devotees come to me. My devotees means those who worship the Supreme Lord in any form. You can worship Vishnu or Shiva or anybody or any incarnation, you will go to that. They are all aspects of divinity, Brahman only. They go to the highest, reach the highest goal. So in effect, what this verse number 23 says is, what we seek, that we get. Seek the highest, you will get the highest. Seek something limited, you will get that limited thing. So we should seek the highest thing. The highest thing is our knowing our true nature. I am divine. Upanishad says, I am Brahmasmi Tattvamasi. But that should not remain only as a theoretical statement in the Upanishad. It should become our experience in this life. That we should seek. That's the highest thing. We are all that. Even now, we have always been only that. We have not been anything else. Though we think we are the body and the mind, that's for misunderstanding. Kumar, with some water. So those who seek limited objectives, they get the limited thing, which is of limited duration. Antavat. Madbhakta yanti mamapi. Those who worship the Divine Lord, Supreme Reality in any form, they reach that supreme goal. They realize their divine nature, they get liberation, or even in the present life, they can get Jivan Mukti. They will be liberated even while living in this body. So the signs of Jivan Mukta are same as signs of Sita Prajna, which is studied in the second chapter, 50, verse 55 to 72. So they are all Jivan Muktas, liberated while living. Still living in the body as long as Prarabdha keeps the body alive, but not identified with the body. They know their divine nature, they are experiencing their divine nature. That is Jivan Mukti. So that we should seek, not small things from God. 23. Then we go to verse number 24. Majority of people don't understand this. So that is explained in verse number 24. The knowledge is covered by ignorance. As we saw before in a third chapter, in everyone the same divinity is present. Infinite knowledge is there in everyone, without any exception. But it is covered by ignorance. All that we have to do is to remove the ignorance and self-knowledge will be discovered. We realize, oh, I've always been that. I knew this one, but I just didn't know. Thank you. So that is explained in verse number 24. Avyaktam yaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayaha param bhavamajananto mama vyayamanuttamam. They, the undiscriminating and witless ones, consider me, the ever-present Lord, who is unmanifested and unrevealed, as become manifested or revealed now. They are carried away by the name and form. Behind every name and form, the divinity is there. One divinity appearing as all these things. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, Upanishad say everything is Brahman. But how many people see it as Brahman? They see it only the limited form, they are carried away by it. When we see a person, any person, generally what do we notice? For the first time, if you see somebody whom you had not seen before, what do we notice? We notice whether the person is a nationality, what language he or she speaks, what profession he or she pursues, rich or poor, educated or not, physical appearance. All these things you notice. What kind of car he or she drives, and all these things we notice. These are all external changing things. We miss the most important thing, the divine presence in that person. We don't see. We don't see God in them. We see only the external form. Carried away by that one. That's what this verse number 24 explains. Most people are carried away by the external appearance, name and form. But they miss the essence. What is the essence of everything? Divine presence in everything. One God present in all. So that comes again and again in the Gita. Excuse me. One divine present in all. And whenever we see anybody or anything, animal, plant or inanimate object, it can be an inanimate object like this one. When we see this one, we should see the divinity present in that. Not be carried away by the form, appearance. That's what happens in most of the cases. We miss the essence. We see the outward appearance, carried away by that one. That is explained in verse number 24. Avyaktam, unmanifest. No, God has no, divinity has no name and form. But all forms are the forms of divinity only. Vyaktimapannam, appearing in all the forms. Mam abuddhaya manyante. They undiscriminating and witless ones consider me, the ever-present Lord, who is unmanifested, as becoming manifested, as if appearing, as if the form itself is the ultimate thing. They miss the essence, the divine presence in all the forms. Mama parambhavam ajanantaha. They are unaware of my supreme supremacy. God is supreme reality. Ajananta, they are not aware of my that nature, supreme nature. Mama avyayam anuttamam bhavam ajanantaha. Avyayam means imperishable, unchanging. Anuttama means unsurpassed. The supreme nature of the reality, we are not aware of that one. We see some form, God has to manifest in some form. Formless God we cannot see. So when God manifests in some form, we are carried away by the form. We don't know that the divine presence is there. We miss the essence. So in everything we should try to see the divine presence of the divine. So that comes again and again in many places in the Gita, and gist of Upanishads also is the same. Isha vasamidam sarvam. Isha also Upanishad begins with that sentence. This whole universe has to be covered by the Lord, Isha. Covered means see His divine presence in everything. So that is what Mahatmas do. They treat everybody with equanimity, with same-sightedness, samadarshitva. What is the basis for same-sightedness? We saw in verse number 18 in this chapter, 5:18, we saw samadarshitva. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shunichaiva svapakecha pandita samadarshinaha. Pandita means person of knowledge. One who has knowledge of the self. They are samadarshinaha. They have same-sightedness. And they gives examples. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane. A highest kind of human being who has all the knowledge and also humility also. A person who has partial knowledge has no humility, has pride, oh no, all these things. Knowledge, some knowledge he has and he is proud of that one. But a person who has full knowledge He is always humble. Only he knows that he does not know anything. So such person, Vidyavane Sampanne Brahmane, and at the other end of the spectrum, Shapaka, the lowest person in society, very poor because of circumstances, born in such a family where he has no opportunity for education or anything. What will he do? So I subsist on eating dog's meat. And in between, animals also come. Gavi, Hastini, Shuni, a cow, elephant and dog. And all other things, in the entire spectrum of creation, from the highest to the lowest, from this end to that end, everything is in form of the same divine. That's how they treat everybody with love and compassion. We saw the example of Holy Mother treating Amjad. And other examples we saw the example of Swami Vivekananda, who didn't want to see the dancing woman in the court of the king of Khetri. When she sang this famous song, Avaguna Chittana Dharo, then he realizes, I thought I'm a sannyasi, I should not see a dancing woman. But in dancing woman, the same divinity is there as in a sannyasi. That he had forgotten. Same thing happened to Shankaracharya. In his Adi Chandala, when he is going somewhere, and he asked the Chandala to move away from his path because he is the lowest person. The Chandala reminds him, Sir, who are you asking it to move away? Your body or my body? Are you the body? Am I the body? Or they asking me. When the Chandala said that, well, Shankara woke up suddenly. Oh, yes, what he says is true. Then it composes a famous verse called Manisha Panchakam. Chants it. Even some people, great people, sometimes they temporarily forget. That is basis for same-centeredness. Seeing the same divinity in all is the basis for same-centeredness. That is the main truth. We should never forget that one. Whomever you see, whatever you see, we have to remind ourselves that in this person, in this object, in this animal, in this situation, divinity is there. I must keep that in mind. In applying this rule, we have to be careful. If the wicked person is there, dangerous person holding, again we should not go near him and say, God is present in you, that won't work. You have to stay away from Sri Ramakrishna's parable of the elephant and Mahut Narayana that mentioned last time. We should be careful in applying this rule of same-sightedness. So, Parambhavam, Mama Parambhavam Ajanantaha, they don't understand my supreme form. Avyayam Mama Avyayam Anuttamam, imperishable, unchanging, unsurpassed divinity. That we don't understand. We see the limited form, or carried away by the form. Then we go to verse number 25. So we still have 5-6 verses. Naham prakashas sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha Mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam. Veiled by the delusive power of my yoga maya, I do not stand revealed to all. This deluded world knows me not, unborn and immutable. Everything is God alone. Whatever we see is God alone, including ourselves. But we don't have that knowledge because the Lord Himself has covered Himself with this Yoga Maya, created all these names and forms which fascinate us, making it difficult for us to see His presence in everything. It's power of Maya. Those of you who studied Viveka Chudamani with Swami Atmagandhi, you know that Maya covers everything. Maya has two powers, two aspects. Avarana Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti. Avarana means covering something. Vikshepa means projecting something else on top of that. This whole world of names and forms, infinite names and forms, very pleasant, very unpleasant, very good, very bad. This whole world is a projection covering the divine presence in everything. Everything is Brahman, but we don't see everything as Brahman. We see it as a different object, different people, good, bad, pleasant, unpleasant. That projection is what deludes people, Yoga Maya. So Bhagavan says, veiled by deluding power of my Yoga Maya, covered by the projecting power of Yoga Maya, I do not reveal myself to all. Only a few rare people can see divine presence in everything. This deluded world knows me not. Unborn and immutable. God is Ajaha, Nitya, Shashwata, Ayam Puranaha, that we saw in 2nd chapter. The Supreme Reality has no birth or death. It does not undergo any change. That we don't see. We see everything as changing. Everything has beginning and an end. Whatever we see as a beginning and an end, all forms have a beginning and an end. That's what we see. But the beginningless, endless, ultimate reality, hidden behind every form, escapes from our view. That's where we have to. The message here in this verse 25 is, not be carried away. Do not be carried away by the name and form and appearance. No matter how fascinating it is, how unpleasant it is. There may be a very unpleasant person, ugly looking person. No, we are turned off by that person. We don't want to look at that person. Or there is another very beautiful person, want to keep on looking at that person. We are carried away by the name and form. No, not that. You have to pierce through the name and form and see divine presence in all. That is the incisive vision that enables a seer of truth to pierce through the misleading shell of appearance, personality, and see straight in the heart the divine presence in everybody and everything. That is the quality we have to develop. Incisive power to not be carried away by the appearance, but pierce through the shell of appearance, misleading shell of appearance, see divine presence in all. So how do we do this one? Every time we see somebody, something, we should remind ourselves that in this person, this thing also God is present. So I shall treat this object, this person, this animal, this whatever, with respect, compassion and love. I am dealing with the divine. Whatever I am dealing with whomever I am dealing with the divine. With God Himself. That awareness, if we cultivate, we are always in divine presence. That is the message in this verse. It comes again and again. Many places in the Gita, Sri Krishna says, I am present in the hearts of all. For example, in verse number 27, chapter 13, very famous verse, Swamiji liked that verse. He says, I am present in the hearts of everybody. Without any distinction, I am present in the heart of everybody. And then chapter 15th verse, Bhagavan says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha. Sarvasya hridi, in the hearts of everybody, aham sannivishtaha. I am present. 13:27, samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. Sarveshu bhuteshu, in all the beings, without any exception. There is no fine print with the exception of in Vedanta. Sarveshu bhuteshu samam tishtantam parameshwaram. The Lord is present in the same way. Yaha pashyati saha pashyati. He who sees, he sees. So that is the message in verse number 25. So we still have 5 more verses. So we shall try to complete it next time and summarize chapter 7 next time. Until then, you all stay well. We will stop here and stay in touch. Let us close with a peace chant, Shanti mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy, may all be free from diseases and other problems, may all realize what is noble, dharmic and worthwhile, pursue them, and no one be subject to misery. Om peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts, Adhyatmika Shanti, may there be peace and harmony among all beings, no ill will, no hatred, Adi Bhautika Shanti, may there be peace everywhere in nature, Adidevika Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all and stay well. Namaskaram.